Alec Rourke stood outside his small house on the edge of the Varelian forest. The red sun was setting, painting the sky in orange and gold. Birds sang in the trees, and the wind moved gently across the grass. It was a peaceful evening, just like many others. Alec liked this calm life. He had seen enough of war years ago. He was a commander in the human defense fleet. He had fought in the great war between humans and the Kirillons, an alien species with silver skin and glowing eyes. But the war was over now. Peace had come, and Alec had chosen to live on this quiet colony far from Earth and politics. He was about to go inside when a deep humming sound filled the air. Alec turned his head. High above, a ship came down from the clouds. It was not a human ship. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, and it moved silently through the sky. Alec narrowed his eyes. The ship bore the mark of the Kirellan royal house. He watched as it landed in the field nearby. Grass bent under the ship's invisible force. Birds scattered. Then the lower hatch opened, and 3 Kirellans stepped out. One of them was tall and graceful, wearing royal armor with a long blue cloak. Her face was calm, her silver eyes glowing softly. Alec remembered those eyes. "Commander Alec Rourke," she said in a smooth, melodic voice. "I don't go by that anymore," Alec said. "Just Alec now." The Kirellan woman gave a small smile. "You are still remembered with honor. I am Envoy Chari. I come on behalf of Queen Sorrentha." Alec's heart skipped for a second. Sorrentha. He had saved her during a battle years ago. A memory came back to him, carrying the wounded alien queen out of a collapsing building, ignoring the danger. "Why would the queen remember me?" he asked slowly. Envoy Chashari raised a small box, made of dark glass and gold. "Her Majesty sends this gift, a token of her gratitude. She calls it a bondstone." Alec frowned. "A what?" "A rare Kirellan relic. It chooses its holder. It carries a thread between 2 souls, built on respect and fate." "I'm not sure I believe in fate," Alec said, but he took the box. It was warm in his hands. The Kirellans bowed and returned to their ship. Within moments the vessel lifted into the air and disappeared into the clouds, leaving only silence behind. Alec looked down at the box. He opened it. Inside was a small, crystal sphere about the size of a plum. It glowed faintly with a soft blue light. When he touched it, the sphere pulsed. He felt a strange warmth enter his fingers and move up his arm, like soft water. "Well, that's new," he muttered. That night, Alec placed the sphere on the shelf near his bed and tried to sleep. But strange dreams came. He saw a silver palace, floating in the stars. He saw Queen Sorrentha standing in a garden, looking toward him with a gentle smile. Her lips moved, but no words came. Still, he felt a message, something about connection, something about trust. When he woke up, the crystal was glowing more brightly. Over the next few days, things began to change. First, animals acted strange. Around him, birds flew closer than usual. His dog, Rex, refused to leave the room with the crystal in it. Plants in his garden grew faster, and the wind around his home carried soft whispers, like distant voices. Second, the crystal reacted to Alec's emotions. When he was calm, it glowed softly. When he felt annoyed or confused, it pulsed faster. He decided to visit the nearby Kirellan settlement. A temple stood at the center, where wise elders and priests offered guidance. Alec brought the crystal. Wrapped in cloth. Inside the temple, a soft blue light shone from the high ceiling. A Kirellan priest stepped forward. His skin shimmered like moonlight, and he walked with a cane made of starstone. "You carry the bondstone," the priest said. "I was given it by the queen," Alec said, "but I don't know what it's doing to me." The priest looked closely at the sphere. Then he nodded slowly. "It has awakened. That means it has accepted you. The queen must have felt something deep in you, trust, respect, something rare. I just saved her life once. That doesn't mean she should send me strange magic rocks." The priest chuckled. "The bondstone is not magic, it is memory. It links to beings who share a moment of true meaning. The bond creates a path for understanding feelings, thoughts, even dreams. Some call it a gift, others call it a curse." Alec frowned. "Can it be undone?" The priest shook his head. "Once awakened, the bond lives until both souls agree to release it, but such a release is rare." Alec left the temple feeling more confused than ever. That night, the dreams came stronger. He saw the queen walking alone in her royal gardens. She turned and looked at him. This time her voice came through the dream. "Do not be afraid. The bond will guide us both. I only wish to understand you, as you once chose to understand me." Alec woke up breathing hard. The crystal sat on the shelf, glowing brighter than ever. His quiet life was no longer quiet. People in the colony began asking questions. News spread fast. Alec Rourke has bonded to the Queen, they said. Some were curious, others were afraid. Alec didn't know what to think. He never asked for any of this. All he wanted was a simple life. But now something old and powerful had tied him to the most important alien in the galaxy, and he didn't even know what it really meant. End of part 1. Alec Rourke walked down the main street of the Varelian colony. People stared at him as he passed. Some smiled, others whispered behind his back. Children pointed at the glowing crystal in his coat pocket. He kept it wrapped, but the soft light still shone through. Alec didn't like attention. He had spent years trying to live a quiet life. Now, after the Queen's gift, peace seemed far away. He stopped at the local supply shop. The old shopkeeper, Mrs. Della, looked up as the bell above the door rang. "Morning, Alec," she said with a small smile. "You've been in the news." "I didn't ask for that," Alec replied, picking up a bag of grain. "They say you're bonded to the Queen herself," she said, curious. "Is it true?" "I don't even know what that means." Mrs. Della looked around, then lowered her voice. "You should. Be careful. Not everyone is happy about that connection. Some folks think it's dangerous." Alec frowned. "Dangerous? It's just a glowing rock." She shook her head. "Not to them. To them, it's something alien. Something they don't trust." Alec thanked her, paid for the grain, and left the shop. He didn't say much, but her words stayed in his mind. That night, the dream came again. This time, the garden was gone. Instead, Alec saw the Queen standing inside a great hall. Her silver eyes were tired. Shadows danced across the tall walls. Her voice came through clearly. "There is unrest in my court. Some think our bond is a mistake." He tried to speak in the dream. "Why me? Why send the bondstone to someone like me?" "Because I trust you," she said gently. "You saved me once. And now, I believe we can save something more understanding." When Alec woke up, the crystal was pulsing with a soft rhythm, like a heartbeat later. That day, Alec walked into the forest near his house. He needed space to think. As he walked under the tall trees, a rustling sound came from the shadows. Suddenly, a tall figure stepped out. It was an old Kirillon wearing robes of deep green. His face was marked with lines of age and wisdom. He carried a wooden staff. "You are Alec Rourke," the man said calmly. "I am. And you are." Priest Mind Ralavan. "I have walked many worlds, watched many bonds. I come with a warning." Alec raised an eyebrow. "Go on. The bondstone you carry is no ordinary gift. It is a key, Alec Rourke. A door between souls. Few are chosen. Even fewer survive its full path." "Survive?" Alec asked. "Are you saying it's dangerous?" "Not in the way of blades or fire," Ralavan said. "But the bond pulls you close. Your thoughts, your dreams, your heart, these will no longer be only your own." Alec frowned. "So she see into my mind. Not always, but in moments. Of emotion, fear, joy, sorrow, you may share feelings. Memories may drift. And once the bond is deep, you may feel what she feels. Even across the stars." Alec stayed silent for a moment. Then he asked, "Can it be broken?" The old Corellan looked at him with soft eyes. "Only if both hearts wish it. Truly, but even then, the marks it leaves may remain forever." He turned to go, but before he vanished into the trees, he added, "Some fear what they do not understand, but some fear because they know what comes next. Be ready." The next morning, Alec received a message from the Kirillin embassy. The Queen wished to speak to him directly through a projection gate. Alec wasn't sure if he should go, but curiosity won. He traveled to the nearby town where the gate was kept in a guarded hall. Inside, glowing pillars stood in a circle, buzzing with quiet energy. As he stepped forward, light filled the room. Then, Queen Sorrentha appeared before him. She stood tall, dressed in white and silver, her eyes bright but calm. Though she was only a projection, her presence felt real. "Alec Rourke," she said with a soft nod. "Your Majesty," he replied, unsure what to say. "You look well," she said. "I sense you have many questions." "More than I can count," Alec said honestly. "Why did you really send the bondstone?" She walked slowly across the glowing floor. "When you carried me from that fire, you could have left me behind. You risked your life for someone your people once called an enemy. That moment never left me." Alec crossed his arms. "So this is about paying back a favor?" "No," she said firmly. "This is about trust. The galaxy is changing. Old fears remain. But if one bond can build peace, then perhaps others will follow." Alec sighed. "People here, they're already talking. Some are scared. Some think I'm cursed." "And you?" she asked. He looked at her. "I don't know what I am anymore." She smiled softly. "Then we are alike. I am a queen, but I am also a seeker of peace. And perhaps a friend. The projection faded, and Alec was left in silence once more. In the days that followed, Alec started to notice more changes when he read books. He sometimes saw words in the Kyrellan language without realizing it. He could sense emotions in people more clearly. Once he even answered a question before it was asked. The bond was growing stronger. One evening, as he sat outside watching the stars, Rex barked sharply and ran toward the edge of the forest. Alec stood up and followed. There, standing in the trees, was a stranger, a man in dark clothing. Human, you, Alec Rourke? The man asked. Yes, I came to warn you, the man said. Some folks on Earth don't like this bond you've got. They think the Queen's controlling you, using you to learn about humans. She's not, Alec replied firmly. Maybe not, but others believe it. Watch your back, Rourke. Things are moving fast. The man disappeared into the trees, leaving Alec alone under the moonlight. That night, the crystal pulsed like a heartbeat. In his dreams, the Queen stood at the edge of a cliff, looking down into darkness. The time is near, she whispered. A storm is coming, but I will not break the bond, unless you ask it. Alec stood beside her in the dream, silent. He didn't know what choice to make, but deep inside, he knew this bond was no longer just a gift. It was a path, and it was leading somewhere he never expected. End of part 2. The silver ship came again, just after sunrise. Alec Rourke stood outside his house as it landed softly in the field. The grass bent under the quiet hum of the ship's engines. Wind from the landing swirled dust into the air. Alec had seen this kind of ship before. Kyrellan royal transport. He already knew why it was here. As the hatch opened, a young Kyrellan stepped out. He wore dark blue armor with gold symbols across the chest. His face was serious, but not unkind. Alec Rourke, he said with a short bow, Her Majesty requests your presence. There has been an incident. Your safety is no longer certain here. Alec felt a weight in his chest. Has something happened to her? She is unharmed, but there was an attack in the palace. The council believes it's connected to your bond. Alec hesitated. His life had already changed because of that crystal. Now, it was pulling him deeper. He looked at his home, then at the ship. I'll come, he said simply. The flight through space took only hours. The Kyrellan ship moved fast, using their advanced starpath tunnels. Alec sat quietly in a smooth chair while stars blurred past. The windows, the bond stone in his pocket, pulsed softly. When they arrived at the Kyrellan homeworld, Alec stepped out into a place he had only seen in dreams. The capital city was bright and full of strange beauty. Tall towers floated above glowing rivers. Bridges sparkled like glass. People moved calmly through open-air streets, dressed in robes of blue and silver. The ship landed on a private platform near the palace. The guards bowed as Alec passed. Some stared with curiosity, others looked with quiet suspicion. Inside the palace, Queen Sorrentha waited in her grand hall. Her dress was simple this time, white with silver patterns. Her face was calm, but her eyes showed concern. You came, she said, stepping down from her throne. Alec nodded. You're in danger because of me. Sorrentha shook her head. The danger was already here. You only brought it into the light. He walked beside her through the long halls of the palace. She showed him the place where someone had tried to break into her private chambers. The stone wall was cracked. The lights flickered. 2 guards. Had been injured. Who did it? Alec asked. Sorrentha looked toward the high windows. We believe it was a member of the High Circle. A noble who believes our bond is a threat to the old ways. They think I control you, Alec said. No, she replied. They fear what we could become together. That evening, the Queen held a private council. Alec sat beside her, in a large chamber made of crystal and stone. Around the circle sat Kyrellan nobles, priests, warriors, and scientists. Each one had a different opinion. One elder stood. This bond between our queen and the human must be broken. It is unnatural. Another, younger noble said, but if the bond brings peace, should we not explore it? Alec stayed silent. He could feel the tension in the room. The bond stone in his pocket was warm, almost hot. Then a priestess named Velhara stepped forward. Her robes were deep blue, and her eyes glowed bright. I have studied the bond, she said. It is not evil. It is older than even our written history. Long ago, our people believed such bonds were sacred, a sign that 2 souls could walk the same path, even across stars. The room fell quiet. Alec finally spoke. I didn't ask for this bond, but I won't run from it either. Some in the room nodded. Others turned away. After the meeting, Sorrentha led Alec to the royal gardens. I'm sorry, she said softly. You didn't choose this world of secrets and danger. He looked at the stars above. Maybe I didn't choose it, but maybe it chose me. They stood there together for a while, not speaking. The wind moved through the glowing trees. Somewhere, nearby, a gentle songbird sang 2 days later. Everything changed. Early in the morning, an explosion rocked the outer wall of the palace. Smoke rose in the sky. The bondstone in Alec's hand burned with heat. Guards rushed through the halls. Sorrentha ordered a lockdown, but it was too late. A rebel group had entered the palace. They wore black and silver armor with no house symbols. Their leader, a tall Kyrellan with red markings on his face, walked boldly through the queen's chambers. Alec met him head-on in one of the marble corridors. The bondstone glowed brightly as he stood between the rebel and Sorrentha. The human, the rebel said with disgust. The queen's weakness. I've been called worse, Alec said, standing firm. You brought confusion to our people, the rebel growled. You broke the line of purity. Alec clenched his fists. Or maybe we broke a wall that needed to fall. The rebel raised his weapon, but before he could strike, Sorrentha stepped forward, her eyes glowing bright with power. You dare raise arms in the royal home, she said. He sneered. You are no longer royal in my eyes. Sorrentha lifted her hand. A wave of light pushed the rebels back. Guards rushed in, surrounding the attackers. The leader and his group were arrested. That night, Sorrentha sat alone in her private chamber, her face pale. Alec entered quietly. You could have been killed, he said. So could you, she replied. He sat beside her. This isn't just about us anymore, she nodded. The bond is more than a symbol now. It has become a spark, something that shows people new paths, and not everyone wants change. Alec thought for a moment. Then we need to be ready, because change is coming, fast. Sorrentha reached out and touched the bondstone between them. A warm light filled the room. For a moment, their minds touched images, feelings, memories passing like soft wind. He saw her as a young girl, training under the stars. She saw him in the mud of battlefields, carrying injured soldiers. They saw each other fully. Light faded. No words were needed. In the days that followed, the news of the attack spread across the Kirilan world and beyond. Some feared the bond even more. Others began to support it, calling it a new way forward. Sorrentha's court divided. Some nobles left. Others stepped up with open minds. As for Alec, he remained in the palace, not as a guest, not as a stranger, but as someone whose life had been changed forever by a simple gift that came with the weight of a world. End of part 3. Alec Rourke stood at the top of the palace tower, looking at the stars above the Kirilan capital. It had been weeks since the attack. The wounds were still healing. Some buildings were still blackened by fire, and guards now stood at every corner. The real danger had not passed. Inside the palace, voices grew louder. Arguments, fear, and secret meetings filled the halls. Sorrentha's bond with Alec was still the center of it all. Some called it destiny, others called it a curse. And deep in the shadows, something darker was watching. One morning, Alec walked with Queen Sorrentha through the royal archives, a place filled with ancient scrolls, glowing crystals, and whispering books that could only be read by touch. Here, the history of the Kyrellan people was stored. We are not the first to bond with other species, Sorrentha explained as she touched a crystal with her hand. Long ago, in the age of the Starborn, our ancestors shared bonds with those from distant worlds. Why did it stop? Alec asked. Because fear grew stronger than trust. Wars burned across the stars. The bonds were forgotten, or erased. The crystals shimmered. An image appeared to figures, one Kyrellan, one alien, standing hand in hand in front of a rising sun. Alec stared. They were like us, Sorrentha nodded. And like us, they were tested. That night, the palace was quiet, too quiet. Alec couldn't sleep. He paced through the halls, his bondstone glowing faintly. Something felt wrong, like a cold wind in his chest. Suddenly he heard footsteps, soft, fast, and careful. He followed the sound through a side hallway that led to the lower chambers. There, he saw a young palace worker, shaking as she tried to unlock a panel on the wall. Stop, Alec called. She turned, her eyes wide with fear. Please, I was told to disable the alarm system. I didn't know it would hurt anyone. Who told you? He asked, stepping closer. Before she could answer, a blast echoed through the hallway. A section of the palace wall exploded. Flames rushed through the corridor. Smoke filled the air. Alec grabbed the girl and pulled her back. Alarms screamed as guards rushed in. Another attack. Sorrentha stood in her war chamber, surrounded by commanders and advisors. A map of the city floated in the air, showing points of recent attacks. This was not just a protest, said General Ryan, a tall Kyrellan with sharp eyes. This was a coordinated assault. Someone inside the palace gave them access. Then we have a traitor, Sorrentha said calmly. Alex stood by her side. It's not just about the bond anymore. They want the throne. The queen nodded. Yes, there is a movement forming. They want me removed, and you sent away. One of the nobles stood up. Your Majesty, if you let the human go, it might bring peace back to the city. Alec turned toward him. I'm not the reason your people are fighting. The fear was already here. The bond just showed it. The room went silent. Sorrentha looked at Alec, then back at her council. I will not break the bond. I will not throw away trust to please fear. Later, as night fell, Alex sat alone in the royal garden. The stars above looked peaceful, but his heart was heavy. The bondstone was glowing softly. He touched it, and a warm feeling filled his chest, like someone was with him. I don't know if I'm helping you, or making things worse, he whispered. A soft voice answered in his mind. You're not alone in this, Alec. It was Sorrentha. She had reached out through the bond. He closed his eyes. For a moment he saw her in her chamber, sitting by the window. Her sadness was clear. They're turning against me, she said through the bond, and I'm afraid for you. Then let them try, Alec replied. We'll face them together. The next day, a secret meeting was held in the Temple of Echoes, deep under the palace. Only a few trusted voices were present: Sorrentha, Alec, Hinadal, Ryan Priestess Fel, and one more, High Lord Zevran, the Queen's cousin. He had been away during the last attacks but had now returned. I've spoken with the city's outer houses, Zevran said. Some still support you, but many sit in silence, waiting to see who will win. And the rebels? Sorrentha asked. They call themselves the True Flame, Zevran answered. They believe you have lost the Corellan spirit. They plan to take the throne by force. Alec frowned. Then we need to stop waiting. We need to act. General Ryan nodded. We strike their base before they gather more strength. But Zevran raised a hand. No, we can't act in anger. We need proof. Let them reveal themselves. Then we bring them down with the full support of the people. The plan was dangerous, but the Queen agreed they would stage a false retreat. Announcement that Sorrentha would step down and that Alec would leave the capital. It would lure the rebels out, make them think they had won. And then the truth would strike like lightning. Alec stood beside Sorrentha on the palace balcony the next morning. Below, thousands of citizens watched as the Queen spoke. My people, she said, I have heard your cries, your anger, your fear. I do not wish to rule a divided people. I will step back. I will leave the throne to the council. Whispers filled the air. Some cheered, some wept. And the human, someone shouted from the crowd. Sorrentha turned to Alec. He stepped forward. I never wanted to become part of your world, Alec said, but I've come to care for it, and for its queen. He looked out over the crowd. If leaving will stop the violence, then I will leave. The crowd was silent. Then, without warning, a blast ripped through the front gate. The True Flame had taken the bait. Rebel ships flew in from the skies. Fighters landed across the city. But they found something waiting for them more than they expected. Hidden inside the buildings were Sorrentha's loyal forces. The moment the rebels stepped forward, the city came alive with defense. Alec raced through the palace halls, helping guide citizens to safety. Sorrentha stood tall at the heart of the garden, her eyes glowing, the bondstone floating in the air before her. The rebels reached the throne room, but it was empty. They turned to flee. Late General Ryan's troops surrounded them. The leaders were captured. Many surrendered. The attack had failed. The people now saw the truth. The Queen had not betrayed them. She had protected them. Later that night, the city was quiet again. Lights glowed gently from the towers. The bond, once warm with fear, now pulsed with peace. Sorrentha stood with Alec in the palace garden. They still might not all accept us, she said. Maybe not, Alec replied. But they saw what truth looks like. She turned to him. The council is offering to let me stay on the throne with full trust. And me, she smiled. They no longer see you as a threat. They see you as part of something new. Alec looked up at the stars. It's strange. I came here because of a small gift, but now, I don't think I ever want to leave. Sorrentha touched the bondstone. Then stay, not as a guest, but as someone who belongs. End of part 4. The sun rose slowly over the Corellan capital. Light poured over the floating towers and shining bridges. The sky was soft blue, touched with orange. Peace had returned. But it was a new kind of peace, one born from courage, truth, and change. Alec Rourke walked through the palace gardens with quiet steps. Birds with silver feathers flew from tree to tree. Flowers with soft glowing petals opened with the warmth of the morning. Alec breathed deeply. The air smelled of hope. He held the bondstone gently in his hand. It no longer burned. It no longer pulled at him. It simply rested, warm and calm like a heartbeat that matched his own. He stopped at the edge of the pond where the queen often walked. He waited, and then she appeared. Queen Sorrentha wore a simple robe of white and gold. Her long silver hair moved in the breeze. There was no crown on her head today, just peace in her eyes. "You're up early," she said with a small smile. "I couldn't sleep," Alec replied. "Too many thoughts in my head. Good ones, I hope." He nodded slowly. "Yes, and big ones." That day Sorrentha gathered the High Council once more. The great hall shimmered with light from the ceiling crystal. Nobles, priests, scientists, and military leaders took their seats. The city watched through live broadcasts across every screen and tower. Sorrentha stood in the center of the hall, calm and proud. "My people," she said, "we have walked through fear and fire, but today, we stand together, stronger, wiser." The crowd was quiet, listening. There were those who believed our ways must stay the same forever, that we must never change. But the truth is, change is the nature of life, and when it comes with love, with trust, and with truth, it is not something to fear. She turned to Alec, who stood quietly at her side. "This man, a human from Earth, came to us with nothing. No army, no plan, just a gift that was never meant to be more than a sign of peace. But that gift, small and simple, opened a door." She paused. "I will not step away from that door. I will walk through it, and I will take our people with me." Later that day, Alex stood on a high balcony overlooking the city. The skies were clear. People below sang soft songs of victory. Children waved blue and white flags. The streets were full of light. Sorrentha joined him, holding a scroll in her hand. "What's that?" Alec asked. She handed it to him. He unrolled it slowly. His eyes widened. It was a new law, signed by every major house, the first interworld alliance pact. "You're making it official," Alex said. She nodded. "Yes, not just the bond, but everything it stands for. Kirillons and humans, working together, learning, living, growing. Will Earth accept it?" he asked. She smiled. "Your leaders have already sent word. They're open to the idea. Curious, but cautious." "That sounds like them." Sorrentha laughed softly. "Then it's our job to show them the way." In the weeks that followed, Earth sent a group of diplomats and scientists to Kirella. They arrived in sleek human ships, guided by Kirellan light rings. Alec met them at the spaceport wearing a simple dark suit with a Kirellan sash over one shoulder. He smiled as the doors opened and he saw the familiar faces of his own kind. One of them, Ambassador Lin, stepped forward. "Rourke," she said, shaking his hand. "Looks like you've made yourself a new home." Alec nodded. "It's more than that, I've found something worth staying for." She looked at the palace behind him, and the queen. He smiled. "She's not what you expect. She's more." That evening, a welcome celebration was held. Dancers from both worlds performed together. Music filled the air, some from Kirellan flutes, some from human violins. Alex stood with Sorrentha in the center of it all, their hands close, but not always touching. They didn't need to. The bond between them was now stronger than ever. It didn't glow or burn anymore, it simply lived, like breath or heartbeat. Later, when the celebration quieted, Sorrentha and Alec walked through the inner garden again. "There's something I've been thinking about," Alex said as they reached the crystal tree. "Tell me," she replied, curious. "I don't want to just visit your world, or be a symbol. I want to serve, to help shape what's coming next." Sorrentha's eyes lit up. "I was hoping you'd say that." She reached into her sleeve and pulled out a thin silver band. "This is a seal of council membership," she said. "I asked the nobles to approve it. They agreed unanimously." Alec took the band with care. "I'm honored." She stepped closer. "You're not just my bonded, you're my partner." They stood close, not as queen and stranger, but as two souls from different worlds who had chosen each other. The next morning, something unexpected happened. An old Kirellan shuttle arrived at the palace. It was marked with the symbol of House Ellen, an ancient family once thought lost. From the shuttle came a group of Kirellanis, dressed in black robes with green symbols, guardians of the ancient order. Their leader stepped forward, Ellerin, a wise elder with deep eyes. "I have watched from afar," he said. "I feared this bond at first, but I have seen the truth. It carries light, not darkness." He bowed deeply before the queen and Alec. "The order will return to serve the throne once more." With that, another bridge between old and new had been built. Months passed. New schools opened in both worlds, teaching young Kirellans and humans about each other's culture, science, and history. Space travel between the two systems became common. Mixed crews flew starships. Mixed councils passed new laws. Alec worked beside Sorrentha every day, helping to guide the growing alliance. He helped settle disputes, trained diplomats, and planned future missions. One evening, as they watched two planets rise together in the sky, Corella and Earth, he turned to her. "Do you ever miss the old days?" he asked. She thought for a moment. "I miss the silence sometimes, but not the loneliness," he smiled. "Me too." 1 year later, a grand monument was built in the central square of the capital city. It showed two hands, one human, one Corellan, holding the bondstone between them. Below it, carved into the stone, were words written in both languages. "Peace begins with a gift, and grows with courage." Alex stood before it during the unveiling, Cerentha beside him. The people cheered. Children ran around the base, laughing. A single thought passed through Alex's mind. This all began with a simple gift. A small stone, a quiet act of kindness. But that gift had started something powerful, something no one could stop. Not war, not fear, not time. And as the stars turned above and the twin worlds grew closer, one truth remained clear. Alec Rourke, once an ordinary man from Earth, had found something beyond dreams. Not treasure, not power, but purpose and love. The end.